Hello and welcome. Whether you're just beginning your journey in learning English or you've been speaking it for years, there's one thing that can often trip us up: grammar mistakes. I know what you're thinking. Grammar is hard. And trust me, I totally understand. It feels like there are so many rules to follow, and sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you can still find yourself making mistakes. But here's the truth: mistakes are part of the learning process. They're a natural step toward becoming a more confident, fluent speaker. So today, we're going to take a deep breath and tackle some of the most common grammar mistakes that many learners make. The goal isn't just to avoid them, but to understand why they happen and how to fix them. By the end of this lesson, you'll feel more empowered, and I promise you'll gain the confidence to use English correctly without worrying about making mistakes. Let's get started, because with every mistake you make, you're one step closer to mastering English. 1. Confusing much and many. Let's start with one of the most common mistakes in English: mixing up much and many. It seems like a small issue, but using them incorrectly can sound awkward. So, what's the difference? The rule is simple. Much is used for uncountable nouns, things you can't count individually, like water, money, or time. For example, you would say, "I don't have much time." On the other hand, many is used for countable nouns, things you can count, like apples, cars, or books. You might say, "I have many books in my room." It can be tricky, but once you remember much equals uncountable, many equals countable, you'll never make this mistake again. This is a basic building block of grammar. Knowing how to use much and many will make your speech and writing sound more natural and professional. So keep practicing, and you'll soon feel confident using them correctly. 2. Misplacing apostrophes in possessives. Now, let's move on to apostrophes. Apostrophes are one of the sneakiest grammar elements because they seem simple, but they're often used incorrectly. The most common mistake is misplacing apostrophes when showing possession. This happens when we try to show that something belongs to someone or something, but we forget or misuse the apostrophe. For example, the correct form would be, "This is John's book." It shows that the book belongs to John. However, people often say, "This is John's book," which is wrong because it's missing the apostrophe. Remember, if the noun is the singular, add an apostrophe plus second. If the noun is plural, just add an apostrophe after the S. For example, the dog's toys are everywhere. The toys belong to multiple dogs. This is a simple yet powerful fix that can elevate your writing from sounding like a beginner to sounding more professional and confident. 3. Using incorrect verb tenses. Verb tenses are essential in English, but many learners struggle with using them correctly. Whether it's the present perfect, past simple, or future continuous, it's easy to make mistakes. The key to mastering tenses is understanding the time frame of the action. For example, with the past simple, you might say, "I watched the movie last night." This means it happened at a specific time in the past. On the other hand, With the present perfect, you might say, I have watched the movie, which indicates that the action is relevant to the present, but it's not tied to a specific moment in time. It's easy to slip into using the wrong tense, especially when you're speaking quickly or thinking about something that's happening in the present. But don't worry. The more you practice, the more intuitive it will become. Mastering verb tenses gives you the ability to clearly convey when things happen, which is essential for clear communication. 4. Subject-verb agreement. One of the most frustrating grammar mistakes happens when the subject and the verb don't agree in number. This means that if your subject is singular, your verb needs to be singular too. For example, the sentence she is happy is correct because the subject she is singular and the verb is also singular. However, the sentence she are happy is incorrect because are is a plural verb and she is a singular subject. The rule is simple: singular subject equals singular verb, and plural subject equals plural verb. So instead of saying the team are winning, it should be the team is winning because team is a collective noun that is treated as singular. Using the correct subject-verb agreement makes your English sound more natural and grammatically accurate. This small change can make a big difference in how you communicate. 5. Overusing the word very. We all love the word very, don't we? It's an easy way to emphasize something. But overusing it can make your speech sound a bit repetitive and weak. Instead of saying very good, very bad, or very interesting all the time, try to find more specific adjectives that can do the job. For example, instead of saying the movie was very good, try the movie was amazing. Instead of saying she was very tired, try she was exhausted. Using more precise adjectives not only makes your English sound more colorful and expressive, but it also improves your vocabulary. The more you expand your vocabulary, the less you'll need to rely on simple adjectives like very, and your speaking will sound more dynamic and natural. 6. Confusing less and fewer. Let's talk about less versus fewer. Many learners use them interchangeably, but there's a key difference. You should use less with uncountable nouns and fewer with countable nouns. For example, you would say, there are fewer apples in the basket because apples are countable, but you would say, there is less water in the glass because water is uncountable. It might seem tricky at first, but once you understand the difference using, and it's a subtle yet powerful way to improve your grammar. 7. Double negatives. Double negatives are another common mistake, and they can confuse the meaning of your sentence. For example, you might hear someone say, I don't know nothing, which is incorrect. The correct form would be, I don't know anything. In English, two negatives in a sentence make the meaning positive. So, you must avoid using them together. This happens when learners try to emphasize a negative statement by adding two negatives. The key is to remember, if you already have a negative word like don't, isn't, or never, you don't need another one. By avoiding double negatives, You'll make your sentences sound clearer and more correct. Prepositions like in, on, at, by, and for can be tricky for English learners, and they're often misused. For example, many people say going to the office on Monday, which is incorrect. It should be, I'm going to the office on Monday. Prepositions are key to expressing time, place, and direction. So, knowing when to use on for days, at for specific times, and in for months or years is essential for sounding fluent. Misplacing prepositions can make your sentences sound unnatural or confusing. Mastering prepositions helps you sound more natural and clear in everyday conversation. Misplacing prepositions can make your sentences sound unnatural or confusing. Mastering prepositions helps you sound more natural and clear in everyday conversation. Well done, you've made it through some of the most common grammar mistakes in English. Now, it's time to put everything into practice. Remember, grammar is not about being perfect, it's about building a foundation that allows you to communicate clearly and confidently. Mistakes are not failures, they're stepping stones toward improvement. So don't be afraid to make them. The more you practice, the more confident and fluent you'll become. With every mistake you correct, you're growing and getting closer to mastering English. I hope this lesson inspired you and gave you the tools to avoid some of the most common grammar pitfalls. Keep practicing, keep learning, and you've got this. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Happy learning!